Hello there, everybody. My name is Valerie Bottazzi, and today I'm here doing this Facebook Live because many of you have asked me about the picture I have posted for my birthday, where I'm in Bali meditating. And I want to fill you in on that part of my life story that had immense impact on where I find myself today and how I am so joyful living my life on purpose. So the story I'm going to share with you today really starts in 2005, a day in July. I can't remember the exact day, but I was at the airport in Florence, accompanying who at the time was my husband, the father of my children, and my eldest son, who were leaving to visit family in the US. And as life has it, his phone breaks, he can't make calls, and he can't figure out what's going on with his phone. So I say to him, listen, while you do your boarding, give me your phone and I'll can check to see if I can figure out what the problem is. Meanwhile, my son, who was 7 at the time, was all happy and breaks my heart, poor son. And as I'm holding the phone, this message comes through and it says, I miss you already, LY. In English, I miss you already, love you, LY. And it's insane. This is a person that I know that's very close in my family circle. This, not family, just close in my family circle. And I start trembling and I realize that there's something going on between the two of them. So I wait for him to finish the boarding, getting the check-in, and I confront him with this thing. And of course he denies it completely. And of course I'm shaking, and my son, you know, they're about to board a plane to go from Italy to the US, and this bomb has just exploded. And I feel like I need to know, I need to clear this. I cannot let them go without me knowing what is going on. So my 7-year-old, he was like, what's going on? He was so intuitive, so sensitive. And I'm like, look at that window. There was that window of like the magazine store or whatever shop at the airport. And so he's there a few yards away, and basically who at the time was my husband is telling me that, no, this is nothing. This must be a misunderstanding. This message is not for me. Bottom line, they leave for this flight they have to take, and I am left in Italy with my youngest son at the time. Very confused, emotionally confused. My marriage wasn't a happy marriage at the time, but this was definitely a cherry on the ice cream, and I couldn't believe what this was showing me. It was showing me that there was, you know, a story going on, that my husband at the time was being unfaithful to me, and I denied the truth. I really could not reconcile this reality. And here started a very important part of my journey. I was already very unhappy. I started having irritable bowel syndrome, IBS. For those of you who don't know what it is that you're constantly feeling bad in your intestines, and my hair started falling off in chunks. I already was super stressful. I couldn't sleep. And of course, you know, my husband and my son went to the US. They came back. And this story kept going on. And mostly what was so hard was that my mind was showing me the reality and my heart couldn't come to terms with it and couldn't accept it. And so it lagged in time. And I had this contrast of my mind and my heart. My heart knew the truth. My heart knew that the marriage was over, knew that he was in fact with somebody else. And my mind just couldn't come to terms with that reality and all that that reality implied. It implied that I had to separate and I had to start a new life and I had to look inside and see what hadn't gone well and so many other things. So time lagged, and yes, a year later, the time came when, after a lot of inner search, a lot of meditation, deep diving, the conviction came into my heart, my soul, my body, and immediately the conditions were that we separated. Life is that way sometimes. When you determine, life responds immediately. There is no lag time. And this happened that time too. So we separate, we live in the same property for a year while we settle all the practicalities. It was one of the hardest years. He was very bitter. I had to go through a lot of things, tolerating aggressions and being patient, and it wasn't easy. I went into physical shock, and I had premature menopause. I was 42. Thank God I had 2 sons already, but it was hard. It was hard. And one of the biggest things I did was realizing that I had allowed a situation to become such that I didn't feel worthy. I didn't love myself. I didn't feel that I was worthy of being loved. And that was the dynamic of our relationship with the father of my children. I allowed him to be verbally aggressive, verbally abusive. I didn't believe I deserved better. I begged for love. And at the time, I was an incredible, successful professional. I was a top director in a multinational. I was negotiating with sheikhs in Arabia. I mean, I was really making an impact in a professional life. I was maintaining the family, but I didn't believe in myself. So the journey that started with that divorce was the journey to become friends with Valerie and to learn how to love myself and how to accept myself for who I am, how to listen to the messages of my body. And those of you who probably have heard my story I shared a few weeks ago or have followed me know that I'm a little bit hard-headed because I had to have my body stop me with hip osteoarthritis in order for me to really learn the lesson of listening to my body. But I did listen in. I started a relationship with myself that I created time to be on my own, time to nurture myself as if I were dating somebody, but I was dating Valerie. And this relationship evolved, and I started tuning in to my needs, to what I wanted to do in life. A beautiful man came to my life in the middle of this journey because I was in a good place and I was accepting myself and learning the joy of the ride. And 10 years have passed since that time in 2008 when I took a stand in Bali, being grateful for the divorce having happened and for the next 10 years of my life that were presenting themselves in front of me, ahead of me. These 10 years, the anniversary was 2 days ago with my birthday, and my life is so transformed. So much happened in those 10 years. I lived through financial duress. I really reinvented a lot of things to come out of it. I paid all my debt. I learned to lean into fear. I learned that all of the things that happen in our lives are there for a reason, and they're bringing us a lesson and a message. And by learning this, I also learned that I am a co-creator of my life and that I co-create for good or for bad. So I created a mess, and I needed to clean up the mess because in the same way in which I created it, I had all the resources that I needed to clean it up. And this journey that has been an incredible roller coaster has led me to this path where I am now a intuitive leader, a business coach, soulful business coach, heart-centered entrepreneur, whatever title we want to give it. What I do is I help women to contact their own inner self, to listen in so that they too can embody their soulful purpose the same way that I've done it. And I don't do this just because I've done it. I've gotten a lot of training in doing this, and even going through a certification path as an international coach. But I really tapped finally into my joy. I love doing this. I love guiding other women into their own inner journey and into their own intelligence and tapping into it, because this is possible for everybody to heal emotional wounds and physical illness, dis-ease. So my message to you is to listen in, to embody your soulful purpose, and to leap into the new you, because it's possible, and a life of joyful purpose is there for you, available if you just reach out with your hands. So I hope you enjoyed this part of my story. As usual, lots of love. Thank you all of you for the hearts and the emoticons and your shares. Shine bright.